Hello guys, and welcome back. It has been a while, but nonetheless I am back from my holiday. I was originally supposed to be coming back in January, but it's almost the end of February now, and I still haven't uploaded a video yet, but nevertheless I am back, and this time with a review of Lone Oak Farm. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into the main review of this map while I set about doing some harvesting. The good things about this map, at least from my point of view, I will stress this is my point of view only, and anything that I say is just my opinion, so don't go screaming at me in the comment section about something. Anyway, without further ado, let's start off. Well, the first good thing I love about this map, and I mean I completely love the fact that this map is just so massive and huge open fields permitting the use of these huge 13-metre combines with 14-ton grain tanks that I just won't be able to use on like the stock maps like Felsbrunn, just because Felsbrunn I just think is a bit too tight for these sort of combines. But nevertheless, the fact that this map allows the use of the huge super machinery is very much a good thing. But nonetheless, as you can see here, I am only running one combine, although I've seen other YouTubers and people out there running 2 or even 3 combines, but I just stuck to this Claas Lexion A900, but I'll get into what I'm doing on the map later. The next thing I would like to bring up about this map, which I very much like, is the main farm is very much easily expandable, especially into Field 33, which is the field just next to the main farm. I find that to be easily expandable with obviously placeables, and obviously you can place down like half a dozen pigsties or anything to that effect. Oh, sorry, bit of an error there, but seems to have solved itself. I don't really think it likes this huge cosplay course out there. But anyway, where were we? The main farm is very much easily expandable into Field 33, which I'll show you once I get a couple of videos. Claas Axion 1960, which I haven't really used that much. I'm getting off the topic again. Where was I? Yes, the farm is easily expandable. So that's free, so need expandable. Easily like jump out of this farm sheds. Might as well show you Field 33 as well. This is the field just to the right of it. This big grass field there, it's very much easy to expand, although as you can see I never really did it because it's always had enough storage. Bale Cell Point as well is another note. The Bale Cell Point, which is over by where all those silos are, is easily accessible if I want to sell bales, and I can sell bales quite easily because I do have quite a lot of grass fields on this map. Make a lot of silage bales, and I obviously sell them on for more money. Cattle barn as well. This is more of just the bit of an aesthetic note, but if I come bring you to the cattle barn here, I just love the aesthetic of this old school cattle barn, and I just wish more maps were like this, and that all that needs clearing, but we'll get to that later. And yeah, love this cattle barn, love the aesthetic of it. But anyway, I'd better show these gates and show you the next thing I like about this map. Also, the big shed here, where as you can see I have stored pretty much all of my machinery. These barring a few things that work down at the pig yard, or stuff that I just haven't bothered to put away again. And I love that big shed. Can store plenty of vehicles in it, although I will admit it is reaching its upper limits with the amount of machinery I am parking in it, although I won't need any more tractors. Although if I was playing on this map a bit longer, I would probably buy a second combine. Another note is the sell points on this map, primarily Hollister stores in the bottom corner, and Learner Co along with AgriXJS. Good amount of sell points, at least I believe 3 sell points to be the magic number. Any sell points, 3 plus sell points to a map, I generally believe is perfect. But that's all for the good things, and let's get on to the bad things, although we'll be brief here. First thing is the tight spaces, primarily down this road here and a couple of roads over there-ish, so this can be very annoying if you're running stuff like the I'll just quickly find it and show you the huge seed drill, the big Vedastad seed drill, the Seed Hawk. If you're running that, you'll find some huge problems trying to get it through the tight spaces, and along with the 13-metre combines as well, you will need a significantly high amount of skill, either that or just the header trailer. I know it's having quite long hours from my combat here. Another thing is the trees and smaller bushes. As you can see, I will show you an example through the eyes of the little free cam here. These little bushes here, these tiny little things, they are very annoying, and for some reason I can't cut them down, so whenever I'm working with course play or on sprayers or harrows and seeders, I'll end up crashing into these, and it just causes no end of problems. Well, I can't really cut them down either. Also, another thing to note is the main yard here. You can't really customise it that much, and by what I mean customise it, you're not able to sell like that big building or that big building or any of this lot. It's sort of just stuck with the main yard really, so you can't really customise your yard really, because what I was going to do is sell all the buildings and try and go for a bit of an old school aesthetic with the old American sheds pack I've got, the classic American sheds. What I mean by that is these really big old red ones here by Modern Welt and Bernie SC3 here. Big thanks to him, these sheds are amazing, although I didn't sadly get to use them. But that is another short grievance. At times it did take a very long while to drive from place to place. I was running these big rigs for carting trailers, but slower stuff like this big class combine and other vehicles I immensely struggled with. It took me forever. For example, I was taking something from the silo, I'm pointing at the screen, although you can't see the main farm silo up to the AgriXJS and the top of that. It took me ages to cart it all over, although I did manage to solve that with 2 of Black Sheep's big American trailers, if I can show you them on the drone here. Yep, here they are. But that also plays into the grievance I had earlier. These trailers are borderline impossible to manoeuvre around the main store sell points. I usually had to have a couple of attempts. Also, another thing, I mentioned this previously, but the tight roads are a big problem for this map. A very, very big problem. But nevertheless, this map overall was fun. So I'll just go grab my lorry. Now on to part 2 of the review, which I ditched the lorry and just explain things better. Another minor grievance I had with the map was from our point of view, it takes a while to get from place to place, especially with the slower machinery that can only go 26 mile an hour or worse, really. So that can be a huge problem from our point of view, especially if you've got like huge combines that can only go at a certain speed, and just takes forever sometimes, and I'm just falling asleep at the wheel waiting to get from place to place, really. But that's just me, I think, so don't completely take that into account. Another problem which I did indeed previously mention was the tight roads with the lack of manoeuvrability, and like I said, you'd have to be a very experienced driver in order to get used to these roads. But yeah, it can be a huge, very big pain, especially with the Seedhawk or anything stupidly wide like this, like the 13-meter combines. I ended up having to buy a header trail for this class combine because I couldn't get to a certain portion of the map with having to go off-road or spend forever manoeuvring around a lamppost or something. Now on to what I would like to call part 2 of this review, where I will go over what I did on this map and the final review, where I will rate it between 1 and 10. So the first thing I did on this main map, as I'm doing here, is cereals. The cereal crops was a huge part of this farming simulator Lone Oak Farm campaign, where basically I did nothing but cereals, and as you can see, I'll show you quickly on the combine here, it has little over 60 hours on it, so this combine has done a lot of work. But that hasn't been the only avenue of making money on this farm. I've also been silage making as well. With the what I was doing was mowing these fields, rowing them up, and then baling them with I'll just show you it in this barn here, this class 455 Roland baler. This baler has been a huge help to me. This is one of the reasons I bought the Class DLC, but the primary reason was so I could get my hands on the Class Lexion combines, which are personally some of my favourite combines, especially the older ones, but that's getting off the point. The next thing I did, and I'll show you in the drone view / sculpting mode again, is the forest here. As you can see, I've cut a huge chunk of it out. I firstly cut it all down all the way around here, all these really tall trees. I actually replanted these myself, so I cut it down, replanted it, and as you can see, I cut down a tiny bit of it just to get in a little bit of money, but I ended up not bothering doing it all in the end, mostly because it was just such a pain up the bum, and forestry, although it does make a good bit of money, it does get boring after a while. Next thing I did was the horses as well. I did do some horses, I did do horse training, although I personally think horses are better off on smaller maps where you won't be able to make quite as much money off your fields, so you believe the £100,000 or £50,000 you get off of 2 horses here. These 2 horses is very much needed on the smaller maps, but although on the bigger maps £100,000 isn't as much as it was, and £100,000 really on these big maps is just a drop in the ocean really. Next huge thing I did is the primary reason why my combine has so many hours on it is the fact that I did loads of contracting. As soon as I finished these fields up, my own fields up, as soon as I finished those, I started contracting on obviously all the other fields around me, and I ended up piling all these hours on it. Although contracting, at least in FS90 from my point of view, doesn't make as much money, it's at least from my point of view is a good little way to offset the costs of the seed and fertilizer. So yeah, contracting on a whole is quite a good way to make a dent in the running costs of the farm. Sorry about that, my game seems to freeze up whenever I go onto the settings. I think it's something to do with how big this map is in general, so I'm probably going to swap to a smaller map or just stop playing this map altogether. So yeah, so I was just going to show you the, as you can see, the 289,000 milk I need to seriously get all that sold off. I also did a tiny bit of muck spreading as well once I got a decent pile of manure, which you can see by this little Marshall dung spreader here. Next thing I did was sugar beets. As you can see here, I've got a full field of sugar beets here with quite a bit. I also own 2 of the Holmer beet harvesters. I'll quickly show you them. There they are, the sugar beet harvesters, and they did cost quite a bit, but they were worth it in the long run. And I did do a huge crop of sugar beets which took me ages to harvest, but overall it was worth the effort because I could finally plough together and join all these fields together to make what I like to refer to as the mega field, which is the main field that I get all my cereals from. And I got about £3 million off the soybeans, and yeah, that was very much profitable, at least from the cereals point of view. Then the final thing I did was the pigs as well, which I will show you. I bought 100 pigs, and I was just really using them so I could get the pink progress achievements, so I can basically finally unlock all the achievements for Farming Sim and say I 100% completed it. So yeah, so that's the reason for this lot. But like I said, I haven't really had much time to do the pigs, although we'll probably do pigs on another map sometime. So that was what I did overall. I personally will give this map a very solid 7 out of 10, although there are a few pitfalls like I have mentioned in the main review. And yeah, so this is it for my review of Lone Oak Farm. I will, next time I do a playthrough on one of these maps, I will record what I do. I will record everything what I do, and the next map, here's a quick teaser, will probably be Old Family Farm, because primarily I'm waiting for Sandy Bay to come out, which will be the next major map I do, but stay tuned for that. So that's all from me. You've been watching Harry C Games, and I will see you later. Goodbye for now.